Hello, welcome to our guest episode in the ongoing series, a podcast of hope, making way to hashtag inclusive community, a collaborative initiative by Bachpan Ke Pitare Se and Little Storytellers. Creativity is the key to success in the future, and primary education is where teachers can bring creativity to children at that level.
Oh, so you mean to say that in today's episode we have a guest from the field of education?
Yes, Deepa. Today we have Umayal Subramaniam, an early childhood educator with over a decade of experience and runs her own play school. She is a commerce graduate from Lady Dock College with an MBA in finance from Tyagarajar School of Management. She is an avid reader, loves crafting, embroidery, and painting. Currently, she is pursuing her research on multiple intelligences. She loves seeing the world through little eyes and she looks forward to inspire people to give back to society in ways that matter. She's also a blogger and a poet and is the author of the book Doodle with Word Sketches of Life, which is available on Amazon. She is an awareness ambassador with Spectrum, the Awareness Project on Facebook, which promotes inclusiveness of people with disabilities in the society.
Wow, so nice to know about her. I think she has joined us and let's welcome her. Welcome, Umayal. Thank you for accepting to be a part of this series. Hearty welcome.
Thank you, Deepa. Thank you, Nina, for inviting me to be a part of your podcast. I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. So, as you are an educator and an author, please tell us what does inclusion and diversity mean to you?
So, like as an educator, I feel that inclusion is like not making a child go through standardized tests and categorizing them into, slow learners, fast learners. They have good grasping capacity. They're intelligent. It should not be like that. So each child is unique. So that is the diversity we see. Each child is unique. They have their own talents. And we as educators and teachers, we should bring them up to be kind-hearted and compassionate. And we should, instead of making them compete with each other, we should let them collaborate with each other so that the healthy environment is created to make the world a better place.
Wow. How do you see inclusion in your initiatives and life?
For us to be inclusive as a school, two things are important. One is the infrastructure, and the second one is the training of the teachers. So, infrastructure changes can be made as and when required, and the training of the teachers is the most important because they are interacting with the children every day. So, we should tell them that each child is unique and each child will have a different perspective. Each child will learn differently. There are children who learn visually, there are children who learn with auditory, and there are children who learn kinesthetically. So we have to give them an environment to learn, and that should be the main focus. The learning should be the main focus for uh,
Correct.
the learning of the children should be the main focus for the teachers, and not that this child is different. I'll not accept him or her in the class. That should not be the attitude of the teachers. So that mindset, changing that mindset only is really difficult.
So,
Infrastructure changes we can make very easily.
correct. So you mean to say about equal rights to all the children for education, equal right to education to all the children,
Yes.
immaterial of their age or
Mm,
conditions.
yes.
That's cool. We really need these kinds of schools these days. So please tell us about your journey as an educator and how you became a part of Spectrum, the awareness project.
So I come from a family where education is a part of the family. So many of my family members run schools, colleges in Tamil Nadu. So I started as an this early childhood Education Initiative in 2009. So this preschool I run is called a Squirrels Play School. So uh, early childhood education is the foundation of all learning. So it is very important, and doing that also gave me a sense of purpose. So it is like I interact with little children every day. So I get new perspectives. I see through the fresh lens every day.
Yes.
So the children, no, they see the world without the aesthetics. They don't say this is beautiful, this is not beautiful. They don't have a corrupted mind like adults. They have fun in whatever they do. So this is what keeps me going. And regarding the Spectrum Autism project, I came to know it through a platform called Mom's Presso, which was there. Now it's closed down. So it's a blogging platform, and I used to write poetry in the platform. So one
Okay.
poetry was about the Spectrum Autism project and autism.
Okay.
So when I saw that, I was inclined to contact the people, and I expressed interest in joining the community. So I called up Shivali, and I said I would like to be a part of this project. So this was the time after the COVID period. So after the pandemic and the lockdown and all that, there were so many children who had missed the developmental milestones, and they were in the school with us. So this became a cause of concern, and I wanted to learn more about this autism. And there was a thing called as virtual autism after that time. So that was the time I hired special educators at the play school, and to make the play school inclusive. So as a member of the core team of the Spectrum Awareness Project, I learned a lot. So from the experts, from the interaction with the other members, and I still continue to learn about all the not only about autism but other visible disabilities, invisible disabilities, and with more and more people contributing to the cause, we are able to be more inclusive as a society.
Wow. Here, I would like to ask two more questions to you. You mentioned
Mm,
virtual autism and invisible
mm.
disabilities. Could you please elaborate on these two terms? Explain what exactly do they mean?
This virtual autism is a condition that we find in children. Like actually, they're not autistic, but due to the effect of the screen on their life in the life, they display the symptoms of autism. It is
Okay.
like the parents are usually hand over the mobile phone, or let them
Hmm.
watch TV the whole
Hmm.
day through. They
Hmm.
don't interact with the children, so they give the
Hmm.
food, the child sees TV, and
Hmm.
then they are doing the cooking, the child sees TV. They do
Hmm.
work from home, the child sees TV,
Hmm.
or is in the mobile phone. So this
Hmm.
is the time the child is able to recite rhymes, the child is able to see, identify letters. But if you ask the child, what did you have for breakfast, the child will not be able to reply.
Ha, it's
So
into the phone.
it is into the phone.
Hmm.
So this was a condition we found in many children right after the pandemic.
Hmm. That you
So
mean to
when
say this
uh,
happened during the pandemic, during the lockdowns when they
uh,
were more online and other classes and the mobile. Yeah.
because children were not allowed to go to the playgrounds, they were not able to play, so they were locked up inside the houses without any companions.
Hmm. So this addiction to technology is also a cause that
Mm.
leads to virtual. I think Deepa, the virtual autism or the virtual disability is something that most of us might not be taking it seriously, which most of them
Yes.
ignore because ऐसे तो होता रहता है ना? मोबाइल दे दिया चुपचाप बैठा हुआ है तो पेरेंट्स वो दे फील दैट व्हाट डू यू से
इग्नोर छोड़ो जैसे
हम्म
though I worked with children with special needs and I have seen a couple of people with additional needs, but
हम्म
virtual disability नाम की कोई चीज होती है, I was not aware. This is a new term for me. So it's very
हाँ
difficult for
And
me
we
to.
recently had a parent who came in, and she asked us, do you have TV in your thing? Do you show, uh,
Cartoons or
visual
rhymes.
हम्म
rhymes and
हम्म
all that? If you're going to do that, I'm not going to put my child into your school. That is what the parents said. And
Ah.
we were like it. Uh, the TV part is very rare. We don't usually do that. We communicate with the child. We sit and talk to them. We teach them rhymes,
Mm-hmm. Even the
and they
smart
learn from each other.
board. Ah,
Smart
true.
board.
Smart board is there, but it is
Mm.
used for a good cause, not for
Yeah.
damaging the yes.
Mm.
So the virtual aspect happened right from the COVID time, right?
Mm.
Because most of the them kids were into the
Gadgets.
gadgets and other things for online classes. But other than that, yes. And other than that, what we saw is what we see is currently in the current what you call the generation after us, like
Mm.
both the parents working. The attitude is like, ha, we have to work, so we need focus on our work. And mostly when during online times, it was in many families when work from home was going on. They gave the phone or gadget to the child, and the child is into it. And then you're not even trying
And
to
one
sit
more
in.
thing is,
Yes.
before they had the parents, grandparents looking
Ha,
after the child, and there
ha.
were trustable maids in some places where they
Huh,
could leave the child for some time. And now
correct,
that is also missing because
correct.
nuclear families,
Huh,
only two parents and one child, not even some families don't even have siblings.
correct,
But
correct, correct.
here I would like to add one more thing, give a new perspective, not new, but a different. I have seen, personally seen, couple of grandparents who give phone and TV time to their grandchildren so that the grandchildren don't bother them, and they allow their parents to work, and the grandparents are
Mm.
also not bothered. So here it is very important for everyone to be sensitized in the family, right? कई बार मैंने
Correct,
देखा
correct.
है
Yes.
कि the traditional households जब बहू को काम करना है और सास
Huh,
बच्चे को नहीं संभालना चाहती, या कोई बड़ा
huh,
घर में नहीं है, या कोई और
huh,
संभालना नहीं चाहता है, तो बहू को बोला जाता है तुम्हें ये काम करना है, घर का काम पहले करो, बच्चे को टीवी के आगे बिठाओ, जब तुम
huh,
फुर्सत हो जाओ तब जाना बच्चे के पास. It is many places in rural India, not rural India, in fact, the traditional or the conservative households, I don't know what is the
Mm-hmm.
right term to be used there, but where
hmm,
they still expect they still think that बच्चे के साथ में खेलना, time spend करना is a waste of time. It is not a utilization of time. So कहीं ना कहीं ये
Mm-hmm.
mindset भी जो है वो बहुत गड़बड़
huh,
है. And this is the
huh.
mindset they are giving to their daughters, sons, daughter-in-laws and son-in-laws. अपना काम करो,
Mm.
Yes.
बच्चा अपने आप बड़ा हो जाता है. That is not the way to raise a kid, right?
Actually, the perspective
No,
varies
even I
from
have
house.
seen many grandparents saying
Hmm.
toys are waste of money.
Correct, correct, correct.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Books, waste
Books
of money.
also. Books
Books
also waste of
also.
money.
Hmm.
Huh. I
और
think even in schools, from me being a school librarian, what I noticed is whenever a child is very eager about a book, and during PTM especially, the child is pulling
Mm-hmm.
its parents, come, I'll show you my library, I'll show you the books. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
क्या करना है? Time नहीं है, office जाना है. So there, the child is not at fault.
Mm.
लाइब्रेरी में क्या करना है, चलो ऑफिस जाना है. So the connect that we had, like Umayal, if I tell you, Deepa, she is also into traditional, spreading traditional knowledge. You should see her post on traditional knowledge. So she knows the traditional, the tradition. I think in our time it was like whatever, even we didn't have new what you call the joint family, but yes, parents and siblings, right? But still
No,
the
I grew up in a joint family with my
huh,
father's brothers, three of them, cousins and all,
mm,
a huge family. So we were always playing outside in the garden. We were climbing trees. But
mm,
now my sons only, they don't play outside much. They don't play football or cricket, or they don't climb trees. They don't play with the sand. And many parents don't nowadays don't allow the children to touch sand
yes.
because it's not according to them healthy.
Ah,
Umayal, you mentioned about being an educator, and also I think it's a preschool, pre-primary,
Mm.
primary education, right? So
Yeah.
just can you uh, tell us about your school. What are the things that you do? Like you mentioned about what you focus on, about the
Mm.
student and teacher staff and how you train them.
How
Uh-huh.
is your school
Uh,
being inclusive? How is your play school different from other play schools when you call inclusive? Like, for
mm,
example, there are many schools that they call that call themselves as inclusive schools, but when we reach and we see the grassroots level, they are not in
it's
right
different.
terms inclusive.
Hmm. So,
So,
is your school inclusive? My question is your school inclusive? And
how, what all you do for making it inclusive?
So yes, I have been running the school as an inclusive school from the year 2021 after the pandemic. Before also we had some special children or children on the spectrum, but my staff were not equipped to deal with them. So now uh, my staff took training in District Early Intervention Center in Thanjavur. So they volunteered on 3 days a week during the summer break, April and May, and they were able to learn from the therapist and all that, and how to deal with children on the spectrum. So now, when children on the spectrum come in for admissions, I do take them in, and I have engaged special educators in each branch. So they take care of the child. They give one-to-one therapy to around 30 to 40 minutes, and then the children are integrated into the classroom. So they also sit with the other children, and it is not like only special education is provided, that they also play with them. They also talk to them. We encourage conversations among all the children there, and the adults in the school also treat everybody equally. So this mindset change of the teachers was very important. So this training helped them a lot. And I also conduct online trainings for them about inclusion. So this has helped transform the school into from a ordinary play school to an inclusive play school.
So you mean to say there is one classroom, say for example, 10
Mm.
children are there, and out of those
Yeah.
10, 3 or 4 or 2
Usually
or
there are
1,
10 to
how?
15 children in one classroom.
Yeah. So depending on the number of admissions that you get for
Mm.
that particular session,
Mm.
if there is a 1
Mm.
or a 2 or 10 or not 10 obviously, but however,
Mm.
how many ever number of children with additional
Mm.
needs are there, they all sit in the same class, but at the
Mm.
same time, they go for their therapy sessions for
Yes.
30 minutes or 40 minutes a day.
30 to 40 minutes.
Okay. So यहाँ पे there's one more question that arises
Mm.
like for my curiosity to settle. It's like there are many teachers or
Mm.
many parents who don't want their children to study with neurodiverse kids. This is the term that we use
We
in our schools.
Yes,
So
yes.
how do you deal
We
with that?
talk to the parents. We tell them that just because a neurodiverse child is there with your child, it doesn't mean that the neurodiversity spreads to your child. It's not something that can be communicable. That is what is
Correct.
the. So we make the parents understand that. So
Okay.
now that parents know that it is an inclusive school, they are okay with it.
Okay.
good.
So has it
That's
affected
really
the
good.
number of admissions in your school?
No.
Okay.
No, that's why the third branch has also came up, right?
Yeah.
Because of
Yeah.
the way you deal with, and I think that is also helping the other children to learn about peer support, and they are the
Mm.
empathic, being empathic, and above all, the life skills of being compassionate towards their
Now,
peers.
what I have noticed, no, the children are inclusive. It is the
Wow,
adults who are not.
true,
Correct.
very true.
So there was this incident when there was a child who was not able to hear, who was wearing,
The cochlear
ear
implant,
cochlear. When he came in, the children were trying to talk to him with actions to
sign
communicate,
language.
sign
Oh,
language.
ah,
So children were, they want to include him.
huh.
That's really,
That's
that's
That's a
awesome.
wonderful thing. Because
So they're saying,
children,
come play with us. come play with me. So this, they're giving him toys. See, this is a toy that I think you would like.
Uh, So they mold into what you try to put them
Mm,
in, right? That is what a child is.
yeah.
That's why we call them a gift from God, God gifted. So they understand a lot. So as you mold, the child will take its life forward.
Mm,
So
yes.
yes, so we are responsible one or the other, and I think it's a wonderful initiative, Omayal, and we really
Thank you.
thank you for talking about the sharing yours about your school and the way you deal with.
Mm,
This will,
One more question from me.
yeah.
So the question is, like, I have observed being a teacher in a
mm,
space in an inclusive school for 2 sessions. I completed 2 sessions there.
mm,
And initially, obviously, when I have been a teacher in a normal school, non-inclusive school, my attitude was very different. The way I taught was different.
mm,
But then when I entered an inclusive school, I had to undo a lot of things. And it was easy for me because I was curious to learn. And I knew
mm,
the founder of the school, who made
uh,
it very clear to me what are the expectations, what is the school all about. She had given me an elaborate information of the do's and don'ts and about the philosophy of the school. So for me, it was spending time with children, but at the
mm,
same time, as a parent, I observed many parents also there. So there were times when a neurodiverse kid used to spit at someone else. They used to
yes.
spit me or they used to hit me.
Mm,
So when a child is hitting me, that's not a problem because I am aware of that condition.
mm,
Correct? But then when
yes.
one child hits another child, in neurotypical
Yes.
scenario also, the parents are like so angry.
Yeah.
But in this situation, when this is such an impressionable age, now we call
Mm,
the kids as monkeys when they are in this
mm,
age. So they always copy anyone and everyone.
mm.
So how do you deal with such situations? I'm sure these must be happening in your classrooms as well.
Yes,
Less or more,
it
it's a
does happen.
different thing altogether, but how do you deal and how do you sensitize your teachers and parents to deal with it?
There are sometimes, no, like a fraction of a second, all this happens. So the teacher is not inattentive for a fraction of a second, this happens.
Correct.
And that is the time that this child starts crying and the whole class starts crying. There's commotion,
Yes.
chaos, and all that. And
Yes.
then the child, the neurotypical child, goes home and says,
Hmm.
something happened. So what we do is, before the child could reach home, we call up the parents and say, this is something that happened today. And we're really sorry for that. And we'll make sure that it doesn't happen again. But we have already told the neurodiverse child that this is unacceptable behavior. This has to be stopped. And we are training the child. But it will take some time for them. And until then, we are you ask your child also to be careful. We will also train your child to accept this person. So sometimes, no, a child, when provoked, only retaliates.
Very true.
So we tell the children, you should not provoke, you should not make fun of.
Hmm.
Mostly they don't do on their own, but
Hmm.
from outside things, something they see in a movie, something they see in
Correct.
a cartoon, they come and do it. So it is to make the child understand that this cannot be done. This is not acceptable behavior. Both the children we'll have to counsel.
Hmm, hmm, hmm,
Correct,
hmm.
correct, correct. It's a
Because this
fraction of time
was,
which.
Mm,
yes, because you are, sometimes it so happens you are then and there, you are looking at the
mm,
children and you just cannot control things.
yeah.
In front of your eyes, things happen in a fraction of second, and then it's like, then
I
you
think,
start questioning yourself, right?
uh,
What
no,
was I
but
doing?
So
but
last year
what
we
I
had an
think.
incident like this. There was one child who was on the slide, and there was a neurodiverse child who pushed him off, and that child fell, and there was, bleeding in the forehead, and we had to rush this child to the doctor, get stitches done, and then we had to counsel the children, we had to counsel the parents, and it took a lot of time to settle. But then,
Hmm.
okay, after a week, everything was back to normal, and both sets of parents were okay
Hmm. I think this is not just with the case of children with special need. This happens everywhere.
everywhere.
It happens everywhere. Even if you say the so-called school which are not inclusive, where
Mm.
only everyone with perfection is there.
Neurotypical children
Yeah, neurotypical.
study.
There also you'll find the same situation right in front of us while moving in a line, or somebody pushes
Mm.
someone. So that is a common thing that we
And
see
there's also
across. And
bullying,
yeah,
where people retaliate, they hit each
huh,
other and all that.
huh.
But then it's
They
easy
tease,
for
they
them to
make fun.
communicate now with the children with additional needs. The communication part is really difficult.
No, no, no. When it comes to the parental part, where the child,
Ah,
they show
Mm.
this attitude is same. Whatever you communicate, right? So I
yes.
don't think that. Yes, here we have to make the parents understand, even the other child. You know, what exactly the other person is, so they can.
And
They
one more
know
thing, no,
unexpected.
many people think that children uh, with autism or neurodiverse children, they don't understand. That is not true. They do
Correct.
understand.
Mm.
They do
Only thing
understand,
they
but
can't
then,
communicate.
yes.
Only thing they cannot communicate in ways that we can understand.
Do it, huh? There is a
Correct.
lot of things we have to understand them first. Then once we
Mm.
understand them, I think this never happens,
Yes.
right, from their side, because they know what they know their mark line, where they have to, what they have to, and what to do
So
and
once
not to
these
do.
children start trusting us, things like this don't happen.
Okay, so it was good knowing about the way you deal with these kids in your school, how your school is inclusive. I have also heard that you are part of inclusive reading circles. So, what role do you play through this inclusive reading circles?
So this inclusive Dunia reading circles is an initiative by the Sarvodaya Collective. So they are an NGO based out of Delhi, and this was part of the Buddy Up project with the Spectrum Autism team. And Pooja Sharma is the director over there. So when this orientation was done to us, I wanted to take it up inclusion to middle school students, children in class 5, 6, 10 to 13 years old. So that is the most impressionable age of children. So when we talk to them about inclusion at that age, it is easier for them to, practice later on in life. So I have done around 5, 6 inclusive dunya reading circles. So this is basically about two children. One is called as Naina and one is Vicky. So Naina is a neurotypical child and Vicky is a child with cerebral palsy, and how a day in their life looks like. So what Vicky faces and how Naina is empathetic towards Vicky. So she doesn't pity Vicky, she is empathetic towards him. So this is the story. So this is what we tell them. And then we talk about visible disabilities, invisible disabilities. So some disabilities that cannot be seen. So uh, there are a lot of children who are under the spectrum, but it is like it is not visible to the public. So many parents tell me that people don't believe that my child is autistic. He looks normal. So what is
Huh.
wrong with him? There's nothing wrong with him. That is
Huh, huh.
one thing, that invisible disabilities can't be seen.
Okay.
So we tell them learning disabilities also is one such thing. People having dyslexia, dyscalculia,
Mhm.
dysgraphia, and all.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we tell the children. So if someone in your class itself is not able to, grasp
Mhm.
as much as you are able to do
Mhm.
help them out.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
because we need each other. At the end of the day, we all need each other. We are an
Correct.
interdependent society.
Correct.
So that is what I tell children. So this, has created impact. And
Okay.
children are like, I give them a leaflet also
Mm-hmm.
describing the story, so that
Mm.
after the session also the story goes, to
Continue.
neighbors, cousins, and all that.
Yeah, was spreading a word
Mm.
through such inclusive reading
Reading
circles.
circles,
That's a
inclusive reading
wonderful.
circles.
That is wonderful thought, and very few people, if even if they come across, very few think about taking it forward. And as an
Um,
educationalist, it's good to see that you have taken that cause forward and using it for a good cause, not in your school but to other schools. That's
yes.
we really appreciate that one initiative. And yeah, so let's come on to ask you one thing. Your mantra for building an inclusive society, your mantra that you would like to share as a message to our audience for developing an inclusive society.
So one thing is like whenever you see someone who is, having a disability, don't pity them. So
Hmm,
pity is something, all of us hate. So
correct.
we don't want to be in a pitiful position. So they are also humans like us. They also don't want to be in a pitiful position. So don't pity them. Be empathetic. So if you see a parent having a issue with a child, don't stare at them. So that will
Correct.
make them uncomfortable. And
Hmm,
whenever you see someone with disability, you tell your child not to stare, but be kind-hearted. Ask them if they want help, but don't be intrusive.
correct.
So this is what I think the society should do to be, more inclusive.
Wonderful, wonderful thought. So, Deepa, I think we have covered almost. Anything else to add on?
Yes, I'm again curious, very curious to listen
So,
to a
I just
story or poem from you, given that you are an author, you are a part of inclusive reading, something like that, something from there
yes.
that you would like to share with us and the audience.
Before we wind up, right?
If at all it's like possible for you.
This is a palindrome poem I wrote, and it is titled Kind We Are. Are we kind? Can we accommodate? Can we change? Unique children are ignored, sometimes excluded and bullied. Together, achievements generate greatness. Mindfulness practice stimulates hard work. All for one. Hand in hand, do we stand? Cater to woes, activate synergies. Spectrum. Synergies activate, woes to cater. Stand we do, hand in hand. One for all. Work hard, stimulates practice, mindfulness. Greatness, generate achievements. Together, bullied and excluded sometimes, ignored are children unique. Change, we can. Accommodate, we can. Kind, we are.
That was indeed a beautiful poem. Thank you, Umayal, for reciting this palindrome poem and writing this palindrome poem. And personally, I did not know what palindrome poem is, so I learned it. Apart from learning so many new things in today's episode. So, thank you once again for being a part of our journey in spreading the awareness about inclusion and diversity. May the number of inclusive school increase, and may all the schools sensitize their teachers the way you sensitize your teachers. So, wishing you all the best for your future endeavors. That's all for this episode. We'll be back in another episode with some new guest, some new information. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and keep listening to Bachpan ke Pitare Se and Little Storytellers. Do follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well. Take care, stay safe, be empathetic. Goodbye. Have a nice day.